Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Over the years, Lessons in Marketing Excellence, a case study competition to find India's brightest and best young marketers, has become one of the most prestigious and hard-fought competitions among India's top business schools.
Lessons in Marketing Excellence has been a program which is now entering its 5th year, a program that was developed jointly between Hindustan Unilever and CNBC TV18. And every year over the last 5 years, I've seen this program get bigger and better.
Lime is the only platform that offers management students with real-life challenges that a company is facing. In its 5th season, Lime puts India at the center and is going to focus on Indian businesses and Indians taking over the global stage.
The theme of Lime this year is very, very different. What we're looking at is a situation where India is at the center of the world, which it is. It's one of the hottest destinations for any manufacturer, any service provider. So we are looking at the challenges faced by those companies which are looking from India to the rest of the world, and looking at those companies who are out of the world, out of India rather, and looking at India for their future.
The spotlight is on this paradigm shift of India going global and global companies investing in India in this season of Lime. Each case in round 1 and its subsequent sector will be one such case. The marketing problem will be clearly for the company to project an international image and position their product as world-class in quality and in service.
This year we have a very exciting theme, a theme which is about building brands in alien markets, a theme which is very topical and relevant not just for foreign companies which are coming to India and wanting to build brands here, but also relevant as Indian companies are looking to go overseas and build businesses and brands there.
The focus is not only on Indian brands gone global, but also on foreign brands that have moved towards India in the hope of making it big in the Indian market. The cases will be a combination of B2B and B2C, but the core will be for each of the mentoring companies to be positioned as international.
We are looking at every single possible sector where manufacturers, brands, companies face challenges of an Indian company looking out or an international company looking in. So if you're, whatever sector you may be in, if India is important to you, well, we're looking at those companies.
Be the global brands or homegrown ones, competition is increasing as the challenges are rising, thus resulting in tremendous pressure on the market leaders. The rise of these challenges is what makes Lime 5 so exciting and dynamic.
Marketing has become more complicated than ever before. Having said that, the tools available to reach consumers has become so widespread that perhaps the reverse is also true, that marketing has never been easier. So look at solutions where you take away the difficulty of marketing and present simple cases, simple solutions where marketers can reach consumers and therefore sell their goods and their services.
In the past, we have seen many companies implement the solutions given by the students and benefiting from it. Here we bring you some snippets from those case studies.
The Indian Railways is the largest passenger carrier in the world and the 4th largest freight carrier, transporting 23 million passengers and 2.5 million tons of originating freight every day. It's also the country's largest employer with a workforce of over 1.4 million. A symbol of the Indian nation, our 1.2 billion strong citizenry doubles up as its passionate customers and owners. The Indian Railways Vision 2020 states that the railways' contribution to the GDP should grow from 1.2% to 3% by 2020, and that revenue should grow by 10% at the same time. To meet the expected demand and achieve the objectives laid down, infrastructure needs to be modernized, capacity needs to be increased, and the network needs to be expanded. All of this will need an investment of 14 lakh crore rupees. So the first task for the teams is to outline innovative strategies that can increase passenger and freight revenues, keeping in mind the ground realities. The second task is to offer the Indian Railways an image makeover and reposition the brand in such a way that the brand can be monetized.
Okay, can we have our first team up on stage now, please? SP Jain, Mumbai. Gentlemen, you'll have 5 minutes, not a second more. The very best of luck. Your time starts now.
Vision for 2030. Railways should become third-party logistics service provider. In passenger, Railways should provide world-class passenger logistics solution, which includes hospitality services. So what does this translate to in 2020? 100 million premium passengers flying on IR network annually by 2020, capturing 20% market share in high-value, non-bulk goods segment. Railway brand should be back to where it was, a strong symbol of national pride and progress. In the next section, we look at why we choose these targets and how we plan to achieve it. To understand the underlying issues in passenger segment, we reached out to experts serving customers at every point of service value chain, looked at the competition, finally spoke to customers from all the segments. For freight, we reached 17 experts from across the value chain, finally validated our results with independent consultants. In passenger segment, market share has fallen from 68% to 12% in the last 5 decades. Strong underlying trends driving this fall is premiumization and urbanization. On the demand side, we see 3 Indias. India 1, which is premium, India 2, and India 3, which is economic class. Cause for worry is we are the least preferred choice of transport service for India 1. Our analysis yields, if we are successful in increasing the railways spending share of India 1, it opens an additional revenue opportunity of 28,000 crore rupees by 2020, which is equal to the current railway revenue from passenger segment. Our focus is premium passenger segment India 1, which should subsidize India 3. For India 1, run exclusive AC 3-tier coaches on long distance and overnight routes and increase the wallet share by adding other services. Our advantage is that we are the only player in transportation business with assets and capabilities across the value chain.
You talked about 3 Indias, and you're looking at the business model top down. I didn't see you spend any time at all on India 3, which is actually the lifeline of railways.
We understand that we need to deal with India 3, but there is a limitation of finance to deal with India 3 right away. So what we propose is, first target India 1. Till 2020, we will earn money through our private partnership, and this is more compelling for a private player to jump in because India 1 is where the money is, and he would be more interested in such an offer. So till 2020, we build these capabilities, service capabilities, and the whole ecosystem, which will provide food, competitive entertainment options, competitive stay options, and then extend these competencies to serve India 3 better.
Can we have our second team up on stage, please? That's FMS Delhi. Ready for your presentation?
Absolutely.
Your 5 minutes starts now.
Our presentation is twofold. First, how we can reposition the brand. Second, how we can monetize the brand Indian Railways. In passenger services, we identified 4 segments of users: the opportunist, the comfort seeker, the value seeker, and finally the end seeker. To estimate the size of each user base, we use fare per kilometer as a surrogate of train class. We clearly see it's the vocal middle class shaping the perception of Indian Railways and hence our TG. After all, the perception percolates down the user bases. We design an approach to identify brand measures to change the existing state to a desired state. Unreliable, affordable, unfriendly, and unhygienic were associated with the Indian Railways. A 360-degree consumer appraisal was done. Different moment of truths shaping target groups' perception were identified and further classified into 6 broad factors ranging from hygiene to punctuality. We then used the consumer outrage and delight model to identify brand measures. Outrage happening when the basic factors of facilities, hygiene, staff, security are not met. Delight when discriminatory factors of efficiency and punctuality are met. We also measured these factors on impact and the ability to implement. The rebranding process is in 2 phases. First, phase 1, negating consumer outrage. This is a wholly IR-driven change where we seek to remove the negative moment of truths associated with the basic factors. Through these high impact and highly implementable measures, we seek to improve the brand image of IR in passengers' mind to clean, secure, friendly, and comfortable.
These groups were classified into 3 priority areas for us to reach at short-term and long-term solutions. In terms of consumer intent and segment attractiveness, coal, iron ore, and cement are rated high, followed by EXIM containers, oil, and food grains. We realize that the needs of each of these segment groups are different from the other, and hence, Railway needs to come up with separate marketing collaterals for each priority area. Key value drivers were identified in each segment of a priority area to come up with short-term and long-term brand measures that the Railway should focus on. The branding process is in 2 phases. Phase 1, focus on the core. an IR-driven change, we seek to provide quick gains to our priority segments by focusing on efficiency, availability, and convenience. Phase 2, changing the product mix. In the long term, we want to focus on discriminatory factors, outperforming competition, and being labeled as fast, end-to-end, and innovative.
The recommendations are twofold. Passenger, we use the revenue enhancement model, which is a function of price, usage, and customer segments. We will get back to price and usage. In customer segments, we identified certain micro segments where land can be used to value capture. Through PPP, we can convert existing guest houses to tourist resorts, hospitals to multi-speciality, and also upgrade schools, thus transforming them from cost centers to profit centers. Total incremental revenue potential at 523 crores. We look at price increments through indirect means, rounding off ticket fares and reserve tickets, revenue potential 1110 crores. Basing cancellation fine on the ability to pay principal, that is from a fixed amount to a percentage of fare per kilometer, revenue potential 120 crores.
Coming up after the break, we bring you some highlights from the previous seasons.
Good evening, everyone. Before answering the question, what Indian Railway can do, it is equally important to understand that what Indian Railway cannot do because of these different social obligations. One of the major problems that Indian Railway is facing in the passenger segment is that there is no increment in the passenger fares for last 10 years. We understand that there are a couple of social obligation, political concerns, but not increasing fare is certainly not the best way to helping the people at the lower strata of the society. And that is because this selective subsidy in terms of the artificial low fare actually leads to a net deadweight loss to the society. Now, coming to some of the new initiatives, firstly, we recommend introduction of a new premium travel class, flexi class, with dynamic pricing on the line of airline ticket pricing. And it would be a way to increase the revenue and profitability for the Indian Railway, because it will help Indian Railway in extracting consumer surplus from the upper section of the society while not affecting the lower section at all. After that, we carried a feasibility analysis for the introduction of ultra-high-speed trains and infrastructure in the India, and from our analysis, we concluded that this project with this ultra-high-speed train would have a very small internal rate of return, not more than 1 and 1.5%.
Have you done workings to figure out whether there will indeed be capacity available, given that demand outstrips supply?
Yeah, so what we have seen is in a number of trains, that the maximum number of coaches can be 24, but the actual number of coaches is less than 24. For example, 19, 20, 20 or 18. And what we plan to do is that we can actually scrap at least one of the sleeper or this third AC coaches. That can be done if in some of the trains where there is no space for one extra coach. But adding one extra coach would boost the revenue by 10-15% for the train. And it would also increase the service level, because we are increasing the prices with time, so people would be able to get ticket till the late. So there will be some kind of confidence that, okay, you have to pay higher, but you will get the ticket. And also it would somehow curb the black market. Also, what we believe is that it won't affect the lower segment, because what we are offering is in the premium segment. So for example, AC coaches and all.
Can we have our final team up on stage, please? IIM Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, this is our final team. Let's meet Shivani Pal, Aditya Mukherjee, and Mansi. Your 5 minutes begin now.
We found through our research that Railway is an exemplary organization which faces 3 major constraints. First, it's subsidy for poor. It's a responsibility to become a model employer. And thirdly, the lack of management bandwidth at the top. Now, we have made a conscious effort not to give recommendations that are very difficult to implement. For the same reason, we find that freight segment faces 2 major constraints. Number 1, it has low capacity, and second, high pricing. The former is being tackled with the help of freight corridors, and for the high pricing, we need to effectively understand the passenger subsidy problem, which we will see how. Now, we created a model to judge which of the 4 constraints that Indian Railways faces can be most easily weakened. For this, we found it is the top management bandwidth, which is the most easy constraint to be weakened. For this, we studied the organized structure of railways. We found that it is a very functionally siloed organization. For this, we recommend that as the cadres move into the functional silos, they should be gradually promoted to a middle management level, which have more of cross-functional roles and more generalist profiles. Also, if we look at the operational levels of changes that have taken place in 2005 that led to the turnaround of railways, we recommend that there should be some ideas from the grassroots level that must be put to implementation by the top management, sponsors, and champions. For this, we have recommended a separate innovation board. The most important thing for Railway right now is to stay relevant in the face of changing aspirations of the Indian population. Currently, 90% of the passengers in Indian Railways belong to the sleeper class and the suburban middle class.
I'd like to compliment you because I liked your idea a lot and I think it has a lot of potential also. But my question is, how do you really monetize the brand? Everybody is showing the railway as a lifeline. That is a common theme running. And our brand value really lies in our bulk customers. They are the villagers, the intercity travelers, the migrant laborers, etc.
Right.
Now, how will you use the brand image and monetize it at the same time?
When we are thinking about branding as such, is that branding has to depend on some core capability, some actual change on the ground. So that's why we are saying that we change the nature of railway service to the new Aam Aadmi. So we give them air conditioning, we give them better services, because railways does give good services at the financial constraint that they have. So if we can transfer that financial constraint, have a small profit, thereby giving the kind of services that they do require, that will change the branding proposition. Now, how to monetize that? Firstly, Railways is already trying to put advertisements. They're trying to put advertisements outside, they're trying to put advertisements inside the coaches.
Before we get to announcing the grand winners of Lime Season 3, can I quickly have some feedback from the jury, please, on what they thought of the 4 teams' presentations?
I think they've done a very commendable job. For people who have not been having time to interact so much with an organization this huge, is not easy getting the kind of ideas and the information that we got. For me, who's been in the railways for 35 years, even I'm learning a lot from what I heard from all of them. So I think it's been a commendable presentation. Some good ideas, some very innovative, some definitely looking at segmenting the system, trying to find solutions to it. I think we need to keep on interacting with these students much more.
I think this case is a much tougher case. It's more interesting, but it's much tougher. I think the teams have been, I think the talent is awesome. It's a little bit scary how much they seem to know about a lot of this stuff. Thus far, I think we've seen a much better fusion of business understanding and market understanding than we have before.
The Railways is a very, very complex organization, and they had about a month to go through the entire gamut of operations, which is, come over a history of 150 years. I think all the teams have done a good job.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big, big round of applause for the grand champions of Lime Season 3, IIM Bangalore. Here they are, the champions of Lime Season 3. Congratulations, IIM Bangalore.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at what's in store for the participants and companies in the 5th season of Lime. This season of Lime will look at seeing young students tackle the intricacies and complex business environment that today's global companies are tackling to have a firm footing in India, as well as the difficulties and challenges that Indian companies are facing as they increase their hold on foreign shores. The cases too will help the students understand the dynamic business scenario and how brands are coping, rebuilding themselves, withstanding competition, and yet growing.
Lessons in Marketing Excellence is a wonderful initiative. It's, I think, wonderful for the students because it gives them a platform to showcase their talent and try and put into practice everything that they've learned in business school. From a company standpoint, it's excellent as well because it often gives companies the benefit of a fresh perspective, bright minds, talented minds, looking at problems that they're dealing with afresh, with no baggage, no history. And I think as a result of this, it's something that is beneficial to students, it's beneficial to industry as well.
What I would like to see is cases and answers which incorporate the changes in the environment. For example, I would like to see a lot more use of digital than we've ever had. Today's environment allows it, and if you have a marketing plan which sort of skirts around digital, I'll be disappointed. I would like to see in almost any sector the use of digital intensively.
With Lime, the students will get an opportunity to nurture and showcase some of their business acumen and talent. Students who wish to accelerate their learning curve should take advantage of resources and facilities available to equip themselves with knowledge and develop team spirit and leadership qualities to become successful professionals.
This year, Lessons in Marketing Excellence provides an additional payoff for the winners. The winners of this year's Lessons in Marketing Excellence will get an opportunity to compete with similar winners from other countries on an international level, where Unilever is putting together a platform which is the Unilever Future Leaders League. All the best to everyone.
Especially with this year's Lime, I think the benefits to both students, MBA students, and to companies who might be looking at the show, the benefits are completely obvious. What we've done with the theme is to bring everything contemporary. It is today's problem. And for many of the companies and for students, it is the problems they will face tomorrow. So if they look at the case studies, they'll get an insight into what those who found the solutions are doing, and therefore they can apply these solutions to the cases that they might be faced with in the real world in the time to come.
The freshness of business perspective these youngsters bring in will pave way for new thoughts, new insights, and new solutions to many problems that companies face today.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.